Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for another chapter review. Chapter 264 of Akatsuki no Yona, also known as Yona of the Dawn. Alright, so what we're going to do with this chapter, because there's a lot of heavy dialogue and a few things I want to talk about. So though I have read the chapter, and this will be a review and not a live reaction, I am going to sort of go through this page by page and read the dialogue verbatim as though it were a live reaction. I'm just not going to be wow and shock and surprise, right? So, because there are a few key things and I just didn't want to forget anything, right? And actually, for once, we're almost somewhat on time because I think this came out... when did this come out? Didn't this only come out like 5-6 days ago? So that's way better than my normal schedule of 3 weeks behind, right? So anyways, so we start this chapter off with Yona sinking, right? She's still sinking into the pool in which she fell, looking for Zeno, wondering where where is Zeno? How can I find him? All this stuff, and then we open to a beautiful double-page spread with Yona now falling in a gorgeous blue sky filled with clouds and wonder and stuff. The world set before her eyes and such, right? And immediately the dragon gods, and still in the form of Kija and Shin-a, are there to basically hold her up and be like, no, you're not falling into the depths of despair. You're not falling. We are going to keep you here. So, and then she immediately remarks that she was sinking into red water. Come on, red water. Really? It was blood. Let's just be real. It's the chalice of blood. It's the dragon god thing. It's all about the blood. You know, the crimson dragon illness. It's all blood related. Coughing up blood. Everything's about the blood. You fell into an ocean of blood. Alright, so, but red water. Okay, 4 kids. 4 kids somehow got to Yona. But this is where the dragons remark, why would you want to leave such a peaceful place? Now, immediately... This is something that both in the comments of the last video and or the last review and my personal going through the Yona Discord and stuff, I noticed a trend of a lot of people saying that the dragons have been waiting a very long time. Their king, their Jesus Christ, their God has been gone for so long. And they were waiting. Just like Zeno was waiting. They were waiting all that time for the dragon god to finally come back to the heavens, to finally be reborn and return to them. And they're still being told no. Their patience has run out, but not just their patience, but the idea of they've gone a little bit crazy, a little insane in this waiting and this admiration and love, which I assume is where it comes from. If you've ever heard the phrase that love and hate are 2 sides of the same coin, and that coin side is very thin, or there's similar proverbs and stuff about that idea, is that a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right can sway an entire very strong emotion. Are things like love and loyalty, and they can immediately be switched to some of the worst ones like hatred and jealousy and stuff like that, right? So though they were probably benevolent and in all cases love the Crimson Dragon, they adore and admire and love the Crimson Dragon, at some point along the way their patience wore out and sort of just a little bit of it just became love turned into obsession. And the denial of their affection sort of warped their original idea. So I was reading up a lot on this. I had time to read the Discord throughout this week and see what other people were saying about this chapter and the last chapter and stuff. And normally I don't have time to do that, but I thought a lot of it was insightful. So kudos to the Yona of the Dawn Discord members for having such great insight, because I agree with a lot of this, that seems to be the case. I would argue that is 100% the case right now. And we're seeing it here because they don't understand. They're like, we built you a dream world. We built you a matrix. Why aren't you happy? You know? And said, if you're tired of the grassland, what about a heavenly blue sky? Or would you prefer a flower garden? Or we'll give you anything you desire. See, the dragons have mistaken love with obsession and possession. Maybe I could learn a thing or two from them. I don't know. But they have, their love has become almost tainted at this point, and their whole goal, their whole purpose, their individuality has been so linked and so annulled and so tied together to the Crimson Dragon that their entire existence is bent on keeping the Crimson Dragon to themselves and making the Crimson Dragon happy. That's been their entire thing. While misguided, is still a form of obsessive love in this regard that's been tainted, that's been twisted in this context at the very least. And, of course, Yona does not know these dragons, because the Crimson Dragon, from what we can tell from Hiryu and from Yona, the Crimson Dragon's actual personality has laid dormant this whole time, and while waiting for reincarnation was not back in the heavens for 2,000 years as Zeno waited. So the Crimson Dragon was not on Earth, was not in the heavens, laid dormant in some regard. So of course Yona is not going to be reciprocal of these basically strangers that are basically saying, we're genies, we can grant you any wish, we can make you happy. And how is she's trying to explain, you don't get it. I don't want anything from you, realistically. I want you to give back what you took, not for you to give me things I don't need, So she immediately sticks to her guns and says, let me go. And they immediately say, oh, would you like your little squirrel? Would you like your rodents back? I love that. Your little rodents. Would you prefer them? Would you like them back? It's like, oh, pulling on your arm. We apologize. Well, then how about this? How about that? And she immediately just goes into, where is Zeno? Where is my yellow dragon? And then immediately Hawk appears. And now this is what I'm talking about. Tainted and twisted love. Love that has been, the patience, and it's all consuming. And that's something that we all need to learn at some point. I've lost of faith, obviously, in marriage and love across this year. But I will say that, once again, love is a very dangerous, very powerful emotion, and it's not always necessarily a good thing, because love can be strained, love can be pushed to the limits, and sometimes you can almost over-love, and that's when the negative connotations sort of happen. And what we're seeing here is, once again, okay, so the scenery, all right, we can change the scenery. You don't like that. Okay, we gave you your little rodents. We took the form of your dragon warriors. We did this, we did that. Nothing is making you happy. Okay, what about your thunder beast? What about your lover? What about Hawk? Would Hawk make you happy? They're just grasping at any straw. They've got a full deck of cards. Is this your card? Is this your card? Is this your card? Is this your card? And they're trying to do that for every single situation, because they just, in a misguided way, all they want is the Crimson Dragon back, and for the Crimson Dragon to be happy. They don't want the Crimson Dragon locked up in chains and miserable. They want to keep the Crimson Dragon for themselves in the heavens, where rightfully the Crimson Dragon, by all intents and purposes, does belong. The Crimson Dragon and the Dragon Warriors and the Dragon Blood and all this magic and mystery does not belong on Earth. So technically speaking, it's this whole idea of returning everything to its proper place in a regard. So there is a little bit of gray about what they're attempting to do here, though once again, very toxic and very misguided the way they're going about it. So immediately, Yona isn't falling for this at all and says, get off of me. I don't want to share one word with you. And I'm good on her strength of will and character to be able to immediately, say no, like seeing Hawk again and stuff like that. Like, it would be so easy, because I'm sure he smells right. I'm sure he looks right. He feels right. I'm sure they have perfectly copied Hawk from her memories. For all intents and purposes, this is Hawk, an illusion of Hawk, but still Hawk in every way, shape, and form. And for her to just immediately not be swayed whatsoever, good willpower, excellent willpower. Because a lot of times we underestimate that. We see it in video games, manga, and TV and stuff, normally with things like doppelgangers or people with the power of sins, exploiting the darkness in their hearts, things like that. You see it across many fictional media formats. And one thing I've noticed is a lot of people don't fully understand. It's like, this person's now happy. Like, they're not, like, yes, did they fight? Did they have the strength of will to resist for a time? Yes, but when you can give back their loved ones, when you can, they might be living in a matrix, a dream world, but if you can give them a world without war, with their parents alive, and their siblings are happy, and they have their children are growing up in under loving care and stuff, or whatever your dream is, individual to individual, but a lot of people just want to be content and happy, without the fear of, debt and war and politics and disease and stuff. So if you give someone all that, ideally they are going to, it's going to be intoxicating in this regard. So I just wanted to say that because a lot of the time, even some of our fan favorite characters across many media forms eventually break out of this, but initially they fall for it. And Yona is got such a hard strength of will, that she's just immediately rejecting the whole thing, saying, I'm sure so amused to play at the people dear to me and my everyday life. She's acknowledging what this is, and it's not swaying her in the least. So then immediately she tries to get away. Kija, the dragon god Kija, grabs her and says, as always, you only think of yourself. We never wanted you to descend upon the earth either. But even after your flesh perished, you never returned to us. So these are the key things that I had already brought up. So to them, the Crimson Dragon is beloved, but selfish. For what reason, we don't know yet, but wanted to leave the heavens and go down to earth. For what reason? Because by the looks of it, all that was accomplished by the Crimson Dragon in his time was not... I fail to see the point. Because was it to experience life and death? Was it to experience hardship? Was it to experience, what was the purpose of the Crimson Dragon going down to Earth in the first place? And the other dragon gods are saying, we never wanted you to do that in the first place, but on your whim, you went, and we did not stop you. In fact, we followed you in human form to the best of our powers and abilities because we love you, because, you are the king, So there's a level of devotion there that can't be denied, and it hints at the fact that the Crimson Dragon King went down purely out of selfish curiosity. That is entirely possible. We have painted this picture where the dragon gods are evil and or at least twisted from thousands of years of waiting, but on the flip side, maybe the Crimson Dragon himself is not all on the up and up. Why did he descend to Earth in the first place? Why did he inhabit Hiryu? Why didn't he return to the heavens for 2,000 years while he was not reincarnated? Unlike the other dragon warriors, which was constantly passed on as each one died, the Crimson Dragon was literally gone. Hiryu died and the Crimson Dragon was nowhere, was in limbo, purgatory, so we don't know, dormant. And so it's like, why didn't you at the very least return to the heavens then? So maybe the Crimson Dragon is not all, on the up and up either. It's just what I'm taking away from this one. And says, you never did return to us. We were completely left in the dark about the whereabouts of your soul before you reincarnated as the princess with red hair. Why didn't you come back? So this is where, as I said, this is a twisted love, a misguided love, but they have a point, and there is no good answer yet. So honestly, I'm going to argue that I think the Crimson Dragon does have a few things to answer for here. Now, maybe it's a good reason, but we don't have a reason yet, and Dragon God's kind of making a good case. And so then, so Yona responds with, how could I have memories from before I was born? And immediately, she remembers, Hiryu. Please wait, dragon gods. Give me more time. At this rate, these children and Zeno will be left behind. That I alone will depart from this world is far too cruel. I made the wish to live for a little longer. When I did so, you appeared, and you must be my next incarnation. So once again, Yona actually started this cycle. Yona started it, the Crimson Dragon agreed to it, but it seems like it was more Hiryu. So it's one of those things where it's sort of like time travel stories, which once again I know we have somewhat of that in here, and it's well with the future visions, then it's not well written. But the idea of sort of the butterfly effect or Back to the Future, like they're causing their own issues. Like Terminator is caused by Terminator, you know what I mean? Like, and they're not aware of it at the time. So as we've discussed before, Yona caused Hiryu to basically wait the 2,000 years and not ascend to the heavens. However, the Crimson Dragon going down to Earth in the first place caused the Dragon Warriors to be born and to follow him. Then Hiryu, potentially this is the Crimson Dragon or Hiryu himself, but I'm leaning towards Hiryu himself, is saying, no, I can't die yet because Zeno and the other warriors, they'll be with despair. That's not fair. I need more time. Like, they will suffer. So, once again, it all starts with the selfish desire, from what I'm assuming right now, of Hiryu descending to, or the Crimson Dragon descending to Earth in the first place. Which, negatively, it's a domino effect. It caused the Dragon Warriors to then follow, which in turn made Hiryu miserable enough to wish for more time, causing the reincarnation 2,000 years later, which is Yona, which also caused, because the Crimson Dragon did not return from Hiryu to the heavens, the Dragon Warriors to stay around, and for Zeno to suffer, and the Dragon Warriors to suffer, and all of this can all link back to the fact that the Crimson Dragon went down to Earth in the first place. So he better have a damn good reason, because so far he's made every major character with a name so far and relevant to this story. He's the cause of all the suffering. So he better have a damn good reason in my mind. You know what I mean? You can blame the dragon gods, but they were only an effect to the cause. There's action, reaction, cause and effect, Merovingian style here. And it's true. You set out the dominoes, but if you hit the first one, you can't blame the chain of events that happens when you're the one who knocked over the first domino. And there's no denying the Crimson Dragon was the first domino, was the start. So it can all link back, and everything can be laid at the Crimson Dragon's feet, who we've never actually heard. It seems like Hiryu, like Yona, is their own person, is aware of the power, is aware of the Crimson Dragon, but is, for all intents and purposes, their own person, just like Yona is. So, once again, so we have Yona, Hiryu, every generation of three different dragons, Zeno, and everyone who's met Yona right now, all the wars, Hiryu, they've all suffered. The dragon gods themselves have also suffered. So yeah, this is crazy, and this is why, as I said, I really wanted to dissect what's on. This is probably going to be an hour-long review, so strap yourselves in. But yeah, I should have probably said that at the beginning. But yeah, see, this all links back to me, and it's very exciting in a regard, because there's a lot of time and effort put into the emotional attachments with the characters and intersecting between these characters, so I like that. So then we continue the conversation that we already saw. It said, I will come for them as many times as it takes. If you can't shoulder it any, I will take it into the next world. Understood. I'll leave them to you. And this solidified this problem. It continued the cycle rather than breaking it. And it said, that's right, I made the promise to the Crimson Dragon King that I would meet the Dragon Warriors again. So without returning to the heavens, the Crimson Dragon King waited for me, his next vessel, for 2,000 years, rather than returning. So technically, this is Yona and Hiryu's fault, which is only the fault of the fact that the Crimson Dragon came down in the first place. So yeah, it all links back. So then this is immediately, Yona says, doesn't that mean that I was born to bring happiness to the Dragon Warriors? I remember now. That's what we concluded with the Crimson Dragon King. The Dragon Gods don't answer. It says, back then, he had no choice but to leave them behind. So I said that I would go for them again, that I wouldn't let it be the end. So I can't leave it now. But what... And so immediately Yona yells into the sky, and never will I let them suffer again. And it's a beautiful, powerful double-page spread. Zeno, where are you? Kija, Shin, Jae-ha, we're going home! Like, she's just, and hopefully she awakens her powers or something like that, or the Crimson Dragon finally rears his head, because he's got some shit to answer for. We're putting his ass on trial. But here's the thing, is that though that's a nice, powerful scene, once again, it's due to your selfishness that this all sort of happened in this roundabout. So she's not seeing the accountability of what they did. You know what I mean? By continuing the cycle. She was so close, and she just didn't recognize that, well, it's like he didn't have a choice. He had to leave. So I said that I would wait. I wouldn't let this be the end. She's so close to remarking the cycle of the Dragon Warriors and their suffering is actually our fault. Yona and Hiryu's fault. Because, once again, because of the wish. So the reincarnation doesn't happen without Hiryu, being selfish. And it's just this, they're so close to Yona recognizing that there's a little bit of accountability, a little bit of responsibility to their suffering. The dragon gods weren't the ones making them suffer. It was humans, Yona and Hiryu's selfish desires to try to prevent their suffering, which actually caused the suffering of 2,000 generations of dragon warriors. That's as I said, you guys can disagree, maybe, and ladies, you can all disagree that maybe I'm going down too much of a rabbit hole there and pointing blame with the wrong finger, or pointing my finger at the wrong person to blame, but I'm just saying it's all making sense up here. But then again, I'm a little cuckoo, so let's see. So after the double page spread, we have, of course, the really cool, swirling visages of these dragon gods in their forms. That dragon warriors, and dragon warriors this, dragon warriors that. Enough about the dragon warriors. You cannot go home. You already have now come home to us. And Yona says, no, I want to leave with everyone. And says, the 3 dragons can come with you if you wish. As for the fragment of Yellow Dragon, we'll throw him back on Earth once we're done with our punishment. It's like, okay, wait a minute. They're bargaining now. Now they're in the stage of bargaining. Says, that's the same as before. It doesn't fix anything. I refuse to leave Zeno alone anymore. Says, why not just kill him then? And once again, it's what Zeno wanted. So the sword appears. They make it appear and says, if you kill him, we'll forgive him. That will bring him the peace he so longs for. And it's like, technically, good deal here, realistically. And here's where sort of the selfishness of Yona takes place once again. Not saying that this, on paper, all I'm saying is that this does solve all the issues. They're saying, alright, we'll give you your dragon warriors. You can go back. Yellow Dragon, however, doesn't want to go back. Caused a lot of blasphemy, caused a lot of shit. And actually wants to die. You have the power to kill him. You kill him, his suffering that you're so worried about ends, and he gets his wish. It sounds terrible, it sounds morbid, but it actually is a win-win across the board, technically speaking. But of course, logic doesn't always, work in here exactly, right? So immediately Yona tosses the sword aside. And the dragon says, don't throw that away. That's your sword. Stop littering in my heavenly sky. And Yona continues with the, don't mess with me. Why should I ever submit to your will? And this is where things take a very odd turn. The dragon warriors, is how the dragon gods continue to say, the dragon warriors were firstborn from our blood. It's only natural that we decide their fate. A dragon warrior that does not protect the crimson dragon is no dragon warrior. Once again, fair logic here. Not saying it's right or moral or ethical. But a point has been made. And says, but they had to be human first, counters Yona. Which is also a good point. It says, their life is only theirs. It doesn't belong to anyone else. Put an end to the dragon warriors and make them normal humans again. What I need is not their powers. This is unselfish. This is nice. This is just, I don't care about the dragons. I care about the person that they are. I don't need their powers. I need them. Just as they are, as people. And it's like, okay. Because once again, you give up the Dragon Warriors, yeah, that sucks. Still have the Thunder Beast, who's still the strongest dude in the world. So it's like, it's not like you're leaving the Crimson Dragon unprotected, you know. So this all works out, and I'm like, okay, this is fair. This is a fair argument, saying, listen, I don't like. Yes, you gave them your blood and their powers and everything, and your blessing. That's fantastic. What I'm asking you to do, you know, their debt has been basically like, thank you very much for that, and it's been very helpful. But now we no longer need that. I don't need them to have powers. I just want them, you know? So this is a fair bargain. And then she says, please grant them this. They were born human, they were once human, and though they had the blood, I'm asking you to take the blood out. You know, I don't need that blessing anymore. And says, this is the prayer the Crimson Dragon King carried for 2,000 years. Okay, so the way they take this is sort of the, what's it called, the monkey's paw or something like that. I forget what it is, but you have to be careful of the hubris in your wishes, right? They do this in a lot of like genie tales and stuff, right? So immediately, flowers bloom and they start to fall. The petals, the cherry blossoms just start to fall. And they say, all right, let's make the 3 dragons human again. Then we'll send the fragment of Yellow Dragon back to Earth together with them. I said, you will? Well, considered, there's no need to concern ourselves with the Dragon Warriors or any of that anymore. As long as you return to the heavens. See, the way... At first I was confused by this. So, the way Yona asked them sounded like... See, the problem is... The way I interpret this anyways, is that she opened up what she actually wants. She asked them for a boon. She prayed, and she said, like, they've been trying to give her everything they think she wants. She actually told them her will and what she wants. That was a mistake. Because now, their thing is, oh, this is what you want. Okay. You've told us. You've given us the answer, so we're going to give it to you. And then in exchange, this is what we're taking. And there's no discussion on that point, because she has told them what she actually wants. And now, in their mind, this is a fair exchange. You asked for this, and we're taking our payment. There is no backsies. There's no going back to the table. You know, it's like, we will give you, this is what you asked. She asked, I want you to do this. And they said, okay. Deal done right then and there. And at first I was kind of confused, because all of a sudden they said, you're going to return to the heavens. And they said, isn't this for the best? And she tries to say, wait, did your wish come true, Crimson Dragon? And this creepy smile and stuff. You don't need the Dragon Warriors, right? You know, so they sort of took her words like, I do not need Dragon Warriors. So it's like, so they took everything. It's kind of smart, but they were very careful on the way that she was not careful enough in the way she worded it. So they took this quite literally as, you don't need the Dragon Warriors. Your wish is for them to return to Earth as humans. Okay. You didn't say anything about yourself. You asked us for a wish, and we are going to grant it. Handshake is done, and now our payment. And they didn't say what their payment was. Once again, you could argue that that's false advertising, you know what I mean? You could argue that that's unfair or a bad business practice, but once again, people sign contracts they don't read all the time. How many of us have an iPhone where we sign that I accept part? Anybody check to see if Apple can take one of your kidneys if they want to? You know what I mean? Has anybody actually read the fine print of a license agreement for an iPhone ever? So, you know, once again, these are part of the things. It's called due diligence, and of course Yona is in a fantastical situation here, but this is the way I'm taking it, is they said okay, and that's how she opened up her actual desire, her actual wish. The moment they grant it, they believe that they've made basically a gentleman's handshake. They've reached an agreement. We're going to grant your wish, and you're going to grant ours in return. And there's no But no, none of that. And I'm sure they're going to go on their word. Because he says no. And he's like, welcome home, Crimson Dragon. Welcome home. Welcome home. And then she gets buried in the blossoms of these flowers. May your homecoming be blessed with overflowing happiness. And she's completely buried as she screams out and says, there are people waiting for... Done. Right? And you think the chapter would end there. But we go back to the Sea of Blood. Sorry, 4 Kids. The red water where we smoke lollipops, right? 4 Kids style. Right, red water. So we're in the red water. And boom, we see a hand. And then the hand comes up. It's Carrie all over again. And Zeno is struggling to get back to air and just immediately falters back down and says, I keep getting pulled under the water. The pain is so agonizing, but I cannot die. How twisted can they get? So he's consistently drowning. Sounds awful. And he's immediately, but his concern isn't for himself. He wants to find the miss. He wants to find the little miss because he still loves her. He, of course, loves her. We've always known this. And so his idea is protecting her from them. He says, even if it's only her, I have to get her back to our world. And then Bohm notices, it's not the dragon god, it's jae-ha himself. There's jae-ha alive along with Shin-a and Kija. And immediately he believes the dragon gods have returned. And no, it's the actual ones. And he feels them, he can sense them. And it's a gorgeous shot of him just in this almost euphoric state, this expression where he's just like, white, green, blue, it's really you. Like, he's like, there you are, and stuff like that. Finally, one of those flowers touches the top of the blood, red water, and immediately there is the dragon god that took on jae-ha's form, and above the ocean says, warriors, your job is done. Now become humans again and go back to the earth. So the wish, once again, granted, but also they're being rewarded in a sense. Because once again, the dragon gods had nothing against the other 3. They hated the fact that Zeno went against. They only hate Zeno for obvious reasons. But immediately the wish is going to be granted. I assume they were going to be true to their word, and this is where Zeno is got this terrified expression on his face, and boom, the fate of the dragon warriors comes to an end. End of chapter. Holy hell is all I can say. Banger of a chapter, so much to discuss. I'm losing my voice talking this long. But yeah, no, seriously, I thought that this was a very well-written chapter, very well-paced. I like all of the fact that I got to read from a very non-toxic community, which is the Yona the Dawn community. I find shoujos and a lot of the time seinen mangas to be a lot less toxic in their fan base and in their communities and their discords and such like that. So I don't usually mind reading up on, every comment, of course, that I get. I read the good and the bad for that, but also, going to the Reddits and the discords and things like that. And all of what other people have said sort of influenced my interpretation of this chapter, and I think that it was handled incredibly well. I'm excited to see how this is going to go down, because obviously the Dragon Warriors are going to be returned to Earth. Will Zeno be returned to Earth? Because it was sort of left... It was sort of implied that they were, it's like, alright, well, we'll take the fragment and we'll return him to Earth as well. So I'm curious if they're all going to be returned to Earth, and then the journey is going to be trying to get the princess back again. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we have more to do in the Chalice realm. I think there's more to do. I'm not sure what. So really, this ended on a cliffhanger that I assume that they are definitely going to be returned, but are they going to fight against this? Are they going to wake up? Is Zeno going to be all alone to fight against the Dragon Gods to try to find Yona? Or are the other ones going to resist? Are they going to be able to return to the Chalice? Are we going to, as I said, go off on a journey? They're going to come out of the Chalice. There's Hawk, there's soo-won, and they're going to be like, Yona, she's gone, and now we don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, and will Zeno be a part of that group or remain in the Chalice? There's so many avenues that this can go. I don't know which direction is the best choice, and I don't know what direction they're going to choose because each one seems as likely as the last. So, yeah. But anyways, that was chapter 264. Oh, we didn't do too bad. About 40 odd minutes, 35 and counting right now. So it was a 40-minute review. I thought it'd be longer because I know I was rambling on because I had a lot to discuss. But I hope you guys enjoy when I go into those long-winded discussions, regarding the characters and how they came to be and like who's to blame for this and that, because there was I still believe that realistically Crimson Dragon in his original Heavenly Dragon form better have a damn good explanation as to why he went down to Earth in the damn first place, because he has caused all the suffering of all our characters up to this point. So he better have had a good reason to do so. As I said, because he made the Dragon Gods suffer, he made the Dragon Warriors suffer, he made Hideo suffer, he made Zeno suffer, he made multiple generations of Dragon Warriors suffer, actually, and he made Yona suffer. So, at this point, I need the Crimson Dragon to stand trial, and I got some lawyer-ass questions to ask him, you know what I mean? And then we'll determine the level of his guilt and punishment, right? So, but anyways, that's it for me. I hope you guys all enjoyed the I guess not reaction, but the review for chapter 264 of Yona the Dawn. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always. And I hope I get this one out sooner rather than later because, once again, I'm always so late with these reviews. So this one's a little less late than last time. I believe so anyways. So anyways, have a good one, everyone. Sayonara.